When you finally decide to leave, you don't just step back for a moment or give them a few hours to miss you. You just vanish like a ghost the other person never saw coming. People get used to you. People get used to knowing that you're always there for them, like a tall house leading them back when they stray too far. But what happens when that light goes out? What happens when the person they always relied on disappears, leaving them lost in the dark? Most people don't realize what they have until it's no longer within reach. They assume you'll always be there, no matter how little they give back. But the moment you stop picking up the phone, stop answering their texts, stop waiting around for their half-hearted attention, that's when the real shift begins. Let's pause for a second. Think about it. Have you ever been in a situation where you were always the one giving, always the one reaching out, and then one day you decided enough was enough, you stepped away? What happened next? At first, they probably didn't notice. They were too used to your presence, too sure of your loyalty. But then something shifted. The air got colder, the silence got heavier, and suddenly your absence was impossible to ignore. That's the moment when everything changes, because when you leave, when you truly pull away, it's not just your presence they miss. It's the warmth, the stability, the energy that you brought into their life. It's the late-night talks, the reassurance, the way you made them feel safe without even trying. Your absence doesn't just create a void, it exposes just how much they had and how little they appreciated it. Imagine someone who has been drinking from a well for years without thinking about where the water comes from. One day, the well dries up, and all of a sudden they're thirsty and desperate, and they realize that they never valued the source until it was too late. This isn't about playing games or getting back at someone. It's about self-respect and realizing that if someone only sees how valuable you are when you're gone, they never really appreciated you in the first place. Here's my challenge to you. Step back, walk away, and let them feel the loss. When they reach out and try to bring you back into their world, you'll know for sure that you were in charge. Leave a comment below and type, "You are no longer chasing or begging for things to happen in your life. Instead, you are letting them come to you naturally." Now, before we talk about the 7 things they feel when you disappear, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another powerful message like this. Stay until the end, because I'm going to tell you a secret that will forever change how you see yourself. I promise you that this will shake them to their core. Number 1. The urge to pursue you when you pull away completely is like leaving a quiet echo in a room that used to be loud. At first, they might brush it off, acting like everything is fine. But underneath that calm exterior, something stirs. Your absence is not just an empty space. It's a mirror that forces them to see themselves more honestly than they ever did before. At this point, they might remember how confident they used to be, thinking they were fine on their own, but confidence can break. The further you drift from their daily routine, the more those tiny fractures become impossible to ignore. With every passing hour, they start to wonder about you in ways they never did. Before, have you moved on? Are you happier? Now, do you even think about them at all? These questions become a loop in their mind, intensifying each time they remember a conversation or a gesture that once came so easily from you. If they had taken the time to appreciate it before, maybe they wouldn't be caught off guard by the echoes of your absence now. Yet here they are, sensing a pull they can't quite name. An almost magnetic urge to reach out to see if you're still around. Sometimes that urge surfaces in small, almost laughable ways. They might show up on your social media, peppering you with likes, hoping you'll notice. They might send casual messages that try to mask their curiosity, or they might fish for information through mutual friends, attempting to piece together the puzzle of what your life looks like without them. And even if they resist those impulses on the outside, internally, They're battling the growing realization that something important has slipped away in newer connections that might be the extent of it, digital trail markers. Several awkward encounters in places they know you go, but if there's a deeper history and they have made real memories together, the desire to pursue intensifies. Memories of the night you stayed up late, laughing over inside jokes, the hours you spent listening when they needed a compassionate ear, and the extra efforts you made to show you cared become more than just nostalgia. They're a reminder of what they once had but never fully valued. It's one thing to remember the good times, it's another to realize that those times might be gone forever. This feeling makes you want to act quickly, a need to fix things before it's too late. This is where the balance of power changes. Before, you may have been the one making plans and reaching out all the time, reassuring them when they weren't sure what to do. Now that you're not in their daily life, it's up to them to deal with the void you've left. And they may try to downplay it by telling themselves they never really needed you, but they know they've lost you because they can feel an ache where you used to be. This change in roles can be shocking for them, and there may be a moment when they think, wait, I thought I had it all figured out. But Seneca once said, we suffer more in our minds than in the real world. And in their minds, they start to imagine all the worst things that could happen. You may have moved on to someone more interested in you, or you may have found new hobbies and a fuller life without them. Every hypothetical possibility stings metaphorically. It's like standing in the middle of a deserted field at twilight, realizing the sun has set and you have no torch. They took the daylight for granted, never preparing for darkness now. In the cold evening air, they're left with a lingering question. How can they bring light back into this space? Some might be bold about it. They could send heartfelt messages or make sweeping gestures hoping you'll respond. Others might retreat too embarrassed or fearful to admit they miss you. In either case, the truth is the same. Your absence has created a silence they can't ignore. Now they grapple with a dilemma. Should they chase after you or let things remain as they are? If they choose to pursue, they risk rejection, but not trying at all might mean losing you forever. So the urge to pursue builds like a wave, ready to crest with each memory, each regret, each reflection on what could have been different. That wave grows taller in many ways. This experience answers a question they might have never asked. Out loud, would I actually care if this person disappeared? Now the answer rings out louder than ever. Yes, they do care, and they care more than they expected, yet none of this means you have to let them back in. That choice is entirely in your hands. A garden doesn't reopen its gate just because a traveler realizes they miss the flowers. You may decide that too many chances have been taken, or you may believe that there is a real chance for change if they show real change. The important thing is that your worth doesn't depend on them realizing it. What matters is that you know your own worth, no matter when they realize it or how much they say sorry. Aurelius said that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In this case, your withdrawal was what made them open their eyes. By taking a step back, you didn't just disappear. You became the reason they had to face their own lack of attention. Now they're at a crossroads, feeling the strong pull to follow you. The sense of control they once had is a distant memory. It is up to them if they give in to that urge, and it is also up to you if you react. But one thing is for sure, they will never look at your presence or absence the same way again. Having two empty spots, hearts that hurt people, can get so used to having you around that they don't notice all the ways you make their life better. Like a warm lamp in the corner of a room, your light becomes part of the background, always there and steady. They enjoy the comfort and glow, but never stop to think about how important it is until the lamp goes out. That's what happens when you leave. The space you use to fill with your steady presence and emotional support suddenly stands empty. And that's when they start to understand what they lost. For example, they might pick up their phone in the morning expecting the usual barrage of texts. When nothing shows up, they might brush it off at first, thinking you're probably just busy or that it's not a big deal. But as the day goes on, the silence builds its own momentum, and missing that comforting routine becomes more than just missing a few texts. It starts to feel like a hollow space where something important used to live. There's a moment during the day that happens late at night. It's not just missing a conversation that makes them feel empty at night or during a quiet break during the day. It's the understanding that a whole source of support, stability, and warmth has been taken away. It went away, Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts now in the colorless vacuum left by your absence. They see how much you once colored their days. They recognize that you weren't just filling time, you were filling their emotional reservoirs." People may try to fill the void they feel by doing new things or focusing on their work, or they may scroll through social media in search of something to replace the connection they felt with you. But emptiness isn't something you can fill with noise. It's a reflection of what's missing inside them. Whereas before they could rely on your presence to make them feel better, now they have to deal with their own worries and fears. Some people might start to feel a twinge of guilt as they think about all the times you were there for them, listening, laughing, or giving them comfort when they were upset. They may remember how easy it was for them to take all of that for granted. It's like remembering a favorite song that they only partially listened to. Now that the music has stopped, they finally understand how good it was. In their regret, they may ask themselves why they never thanked you enough or ignored your care as if it would last forever. Others may feel lost and confused because they don't know how to get around in the space you've left behind. It's like they're in a room where all the furniture was moved overnight and they don't know where to sit, where to put their feet, or how to get their balance back. That's the power of emptiness. It throws them off balance and forces them to face life without the support you once gave them. Questions like, is it too late to fix things? Did I push them away by ignoring what mattered? Am I the one who caused this? Pop into their heads. These questions can hurt, but they can also help you think more deeply about yourself. In this way, emptiness isn't just a void, it's a chance to see things more clearly. As Seneca said, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Your departure could be the harsh ending they needed to realize they had to start over differently and with more awareness. They might also try to make sense of the loss by saying things like, maybe we just grew apart, or they're probably better off without me. But underneath those excuses, there's a feeling that maybe there was more they could have done or given. It hurts because they can't put the blame on anyone else when they're empty. Your absence makes them realize that a space that used to be filled with real human connection is now as empty as a house without a tenant. That vacancy is hard to ignore, no matter how busy they try to be. During those sleepless nights when everything is quiet and their minds wander, they might remember old conversations or moments you shared. For example, they might remember how you laughed at something silly with them or how you comforted them when they were scared. Each memory is a sharp reminder that those times can't be called up at will. They happened under certain conditions. Your willingness to be there, and now that you've decided to leave, they have to deal with the fact that they can't count on your support. This emptiness can also be a harsh teacher, teaching them how to value other people's presence rather than taking it for granted. It teaches them how short-lived human connections can be when they're not cared for. Even though it might feel like a punishment, it's really a reminder of how important that tie was. Stoic wisdom often talks about how fleeting life's blessings are, reminding us that everything we take for granted can be taken away in an instant. Here, the lesson is written in bold. You were the blessing they took for granted, so they sit with the emptiness and learn. Maybe they'll grow from it and realize how important connections are, or maybe they'll try to find shallow replacements that never quite match what you offered. Either way, they're now walking down a silent hallway that used to be filled with your voice. Every echo in that hallway reminds them of what's missing and what they should have valued all along. That's how emptiness becomes both a burden and a mirror. It's like a heavy coat they can't get rid of, but it also forces them to see themselves more clearly. They may learn the truth about their own behavior, their tendency to be neglected, and their own weakness. When they do, they are faced with a choice. They can try to change by reaching out for real reconnection, or they can stay in denial and let the emptiness become their new normal. No matter what they decide, the weight of the emptiness will always remind them of what happens when you disappear and how important your presence was. Number 3, curiosity shatters the calm when you disappear from someone's life. One of the most powerful forces that bubbles up in your wake is sheer, unrelenting curiosity. Imagine it like a locked door in an old mansion. Suddenly they realize they have no key before they thought they had. You figured out, they believed. They knew your habits, your schedules, the parts of yourself. You chose to share, but now you've vanished, leaving them with more questions than answers. Where did you go? What are you doing? Why would you leave just like that? Those simple questions grow louder every day. Curiosity becomes a steady drumbeat in their mind, echoing at odd hours of the night. At first they might try to dismiss it, telling themselves you'll be back soon or that you're just taking some time off. Yet the silence you leave behind isn't easily explained away. It's like an itch they can't scratch, impossible to ignore. Even if they scroll through their phone, trying to distract themselves with countless memes or videos, their mind keeps returning to you like water, seeking its own level. Their thoughts find you over and over again. People who are curious often go back to old messages to see if there are any clues they missed. Maybe there was a change in your tone that showed you were pulling away, or maybe your last conversation gave away subtle hints that you were done being taken for granted. These flashes of hindsight can feel like revelations. Why didn't I see this coming? Was I too busy to notice the distance between us growing sooner? They might start to obsess over even the smallest details in a world where they once felt completely at ease, and unease sets in as if something important has slipped through their fingers. People naturally want to know what will happen next. When they don't have that confidence with you, their interest turns into a low-level panic, and they check your social media for any sign of life or updates, sometimes several times a day. If you're busy, they wonder who you're talking to. If you're quiet, they think you're laughing with friends who value you more. Because they can't stop thinking about you, they might tell people they know about you in order to find out anything. Did they mention me? Did they say why they left? They might even set up random meetings with you at a coffee shop you frequent, or an event you used to enjoy together, hoping to run into you by chance. All of this is driven by a growing need to know. After all, knowledge is power, and if they can just get a sense of what you're doing, maybe they can calm that uneasy feeling that's been eating away at their thoughts. Curiosity isn't always harmless. It can lead to regret. In their moments of quiet desperation, they may start to think about all the times they ignored your contributions, thinking you'd always be there. They remember how kind you were, how steady you were, and how willing you were to support them through good times and bad. Now that you're gone, every memory feels like a puzzle piece they can't put back together, and they feel like they lost someone important to them. There's a saying that says, we suffer more often in our imaginations than in reality. Their imagination is working overtime, painting vivid pictures of you, thriving without them, making new connections, or growing in ways they never thought possible. This can make them fear they're missing out on your life. Are you moving forward in huge leaps? Have they lost their place in your circle for good? If someone is locked in a room with a balloon, their curiosity will keep growing no matter how hard they try to push it aside. This is the clearest sign that they finally see how valuable you are. The thoughts that are going through their minds all point to one main truth. Your life has become a mystery to them. And mysteries are always interesting. Some people might see this as manipulative, but it's actually self-preservation. You chose to remove your energy from a space that no longer respected or valued it. By pulling away, you gave them the chance to notice what they used to think was ordinary. It's like taking a colorful painting off of a familiar wall. Only then do you truly see the empty space left behind. That empty space speaks volumes. It makes them face their own flaws, like not paying attention to you or thinking they knew you better than you did. Questions like, am I the cause of this distance? Did I fail to reciprocate the care they showed me? Could I have changed anything? Remind them of the deep void that remains when someone they thought would be permanent steps out of their daily life. That's the power of mystery. People can be jolted awake by not being able to find quick answers and having to face the reality of what they've lost. Your silence says more about you than any words you could have said by choosing your own peace and growth. What your limits are. You've left them with a puzzle they desperately want to solve, and in that puzzle they find both a sense of longing and the sobering realization that being comfortable comes with a price. 4. Facing the mirror. When someone who thought you'd always be there suddenly loses you, they're faced with something deeper than silence, something more unsettling than loneliness. They come face to face with themselves. Your absence acts like a mirror reflecting truths they'd been comfortably avoiding. Without you filling the gaps in their life, the noise dies down, and all they can hear is their own inner voice. At first, they'll probably ignore that quiet discomfort, telling themselves, it's nothing serious, things will get back to normal soon. But as the days turn into weeks, that emptiness becomes harder to avoid. It's not just your absence, they're now facing their own reflection and asking themselves hard questions like, did I really cause this? Xenia, could I have stopped it? Why didn't I respect this person more when they were right here, within reach? It's not easy to think deeply about oneself. It hurts like turning on a bright light in a dark room. At first, it's overwhelming, harsh, and unsettling. People's first reaction is often denial or even anger. They might blame timing, circumstances, or even you to avoid taking responsibility, but that doesn't work for long because the truth is so serious. At some point, they will have to face the hard truth that what they did or didn't do made you leave. Marcus Aurelius said, everything we hear is a view, not a fact. Everything we see is a point of view, not the truth. When they look at themselves in this mirror you've given them, their opinions go away and they have nowhere to hide. They start to connect the dots they had been ignoring before. Every memory becomes clearer, every neglected text, every time they put something or someone else ahead of you. All of these small but important details come to the surface, creating a mosaic of their own neglect. Imagine standing on the shore of a still lake at sunset. The water is calm and reflective, and you throw a single pebble into it. The ripples of awareness and reflection spread far wider and deeper than they ever imagined. Each wave reminds them of the chances they missed, the kindness they didn't return. and the attention they never gave to you. This thought isn't just sorrow. It's a reckoning as they start to see the truth behind their habits. Maybe they realize they didn't give as much as they received, or maybe they were too reliant on your unwavering presence, thinking you'd always be there for them no matter what. These realizations hurt because they bruise the ego and break down illusions of control, but there's wisdom in the pain. As Seneca once said, it's not because things are hard that we dare not venture, it's because we dare not venture that they are hard. When they have to say they were wrong the whole time, it's not easy. Some will wallow in regret without making any real changes. Some people repeat old patterns in new relationships because they aren't aware of their own flaws, but for others, your absence leads to real change. They start to change, becoming more aware, intentional, and less careless with people's hearts. But even if they do change, it's important to remember that you don't owe them anything in return. Their growth is their own journey, separate from yours. Stepping away wasn't a punishment, it was a way to protect your worth, dignity, and peace. And now they have to face the fact that valuable things must be treasured, or they will disappear. This lesson isn't just about loss, it's also about responsibility. It's a stark warning that everything you do, no matter how small, has consequences. Neglect can slowly break down even the strongest bonds while you're away, leaving them to deal with hard truths. Did they really understand you, or did they only appreciate what you gave them? Did they see your heart clearly, or were they blinded by their own selfishness? Perhaps most painfully was losing you the price they had to pay to learn how badly they neglected you. The mirror they now face doesn't just show them their flaws, it gives them a choice. They can accept reality and become a better person who treats others better, or they can reject it and stay stuck in cycles of avoidance and denial. Either way, your departure marks a changing point. You took back your power, not because you were angry, but because you respected yourself. There's a quiet pride in knowing that you didn't beg for attention. You just stepped back and let their image speak louder than you. Your words ever could. As they look into the mirror, they can't deny how clear they are now. Your silence speaks louder than any argument, complaint, or plea ever could. This moment of reflection is theirs to learn from or bear forever. By stepping away, you gave them space to face themselves. It's up to them whether they use it to grow or not. Your job is done. You've made room for change. You've reclaimed your peace. You've reclaimed your power. And you've reclaimed your sense of self-worth. Now they have nothing but honesty, reflection, and the truth staring back at them. Let them look deeply. They've found the truth. Whether they choose to embrace it, you've already moved forward lighter, stronger, and clearer than ever. Number 5. When someone finally realizes they've lost you, regret usually hits like a storm. Regret comes like a violent storm, destroying every memory and leaving them to painfully sort through it. They didn't see it coming, or rather, they chose not to. It's only now, in the silence after you've gone, that regret takes hold, breaking through illusions and making them see reality for what it really is. Regret doesn't come quietly, it sneaks up on people when they least expect it. Often, when they're alone with their thoughts late at night or in the quiet times between activities, they start to play back old conversations like old movies. They start to think about all the mistakes they made and the chances they missed. They ask themselves, why didn't I notice sooner? Why did I take their presence for granted? Could things have turned out differently if I had just paid attention? As the philosopher Søren Kierkegaard said, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. This truth hits them particularly hard. Now, looking backward, they see clearly all the opportunities they squandered. They remember your kindness, your patience, the endless ways you tried to make things work. You were patient even when they dismissed you, generous even when they gave you only scraps of attention and forgiving, even when they repeatedly fell short. Each memory, each small act of neglect now carries a sharp sting of remorse. Yet regret is cruel, because it's always too late, like sand slipping between their fingers. The chance to value you properly has vanished now. They stand helplessly on the shoreline, watching as the tide pulls away something they once considered permanent. They thought you'd always remain on the shore, no matter how often they wandered away. Now they're left with the bitter truth that nothing can bring back the moments they've wasted, the trust they've broken, or the emotional effort they've taken for granted. This wave of regret becomes impossible to ignore. Every song that reminds them of you, every place you used to visit together, every shared memory becomes a painful echo. The carefree laughter once shared is now replaced by haunting silence, forcing them to grapple with the painful truth of their choices, like staring at a photograph of someone they can no longer reach. Your absence reminds them all the time that they didn't appreciate the person who was standing next to them at that very moment. They may try to fill the void with other things like new hobbies, relationships, or projects, but nothing works as well as trying to fill a deep well with handfuls of sand. Every time they try to avoid regret, their mind always drifts back to you, remembering your steady presence. They lost unwavering loyalty and support, things they didn't value until they were gone. Regret can lead to powerful insights, but it's never easy to accept responsibility for one's mistakes. For some, it's a turning point. The pain pushes them to real self-improvement, making them think deeply about their emotional growth and make sure they don't repeat the same patterns with someone else. For these people, regret becomes a harsh but effective teacher. For others, it gets them stuck. They can't get past their guilt and shame. Instead of learning from the experience, they drown in self-pity and cannot get past the questions that no longer have answers. These people become trapped by regret. Even though they're going through a lot of emotional turmoil, you're doing very well in other places. Walking away was probably one of the hardest decisions you've ever had to make, but it was also one of the bravest. You chose peace, self-respect, and the realization that your worth isn't based on someone else's delayed realization. You found strength in taking a step back, clarity in the silence you created, and freedom in letting go. Your leaving wasn't a penalty. It was a way for us to protect ourselves. Marcus Aurelius said how the best way to get back at someone is to not be like them. By walking away, you didn't want to get back at them. Instead, you chose not to be angry or bitter. You chose yourself. In doing so, you showed them respect, courage, and maturity that they probably didn't notice. Now they have to deal with the fact that they couldn't see clearly until it was too late. Their sadness isn't proof of your worth, it's proof of how blind they were. The fact that they feel bad about what they did now doesn't mean you have to give them another chance. You've already paid your dues in patience, kindness, and understanding. Their regrets are the natural result of their carelessness and neglect. Sometimes the most powerful lessons are taught through loss. They've learned the value of appreciation, the need for emotional presence, and the fragility of connections that are taken for granted. Whether they choose to carry these lessons forward is up to them. For now, it's still clear what you want to do. You no longer feel regret because you have strength, clarity, and self-respect. Let their regret rage like a storm. It's theirs, not yours. You've already found calmer waters, stronger shores, and brighter prospects. While their sorrow may follow them around, your freedom gives you the strength to go after second chances. The last emotion that strikes them deeply after you disappear is the desperate craving for redemption. When regret has fully taken root, they reach for redemption like someone drowning reaches for air. It's a powerful urge, one that stems not just from guilt, but from a genuine desire to rewrite their story and prove they're capable of becoming someone better. Imagine someone standing at the closed gates of a garden they once freely entered. They remember its beauty vividly, the warmth, comfort, and peace inside now locked out. They long to return. At first, this desire might seem subtle, almost hesitant. Perhaps they'll try reaching out casually, dropping a short text to gauge if the gates might reopen just a crack. They test the waters, gently hoping for a positive response, a sign you're still open to them at least slightly. But as their messages go unanswered or receive minimal engagement, their desperation intensifies. It's as if the quiet rejection amplifies their craving to regain what they lost. They might wonder, can I show I've changed? Can I earn forgiveness? Is there a chance to prove I'm different now? These questions keep going through their minds, making them want to be forgiven. The longer they stay away, the louder this internal conversation gets. Forgiveness isn't easy. It takes more than a simple apology or empty promises. To truly be forgiven, people must honestly think about their actions, make changes that can be seen, and be ready to face the hard truths about themselves. As the wise author Paulo Coelho said, when you repeat a mistake, it is no longer a mistake, it's a decision. Now is a very important time for them. Will they really change after learning from their mistakes, or will their claims stay empty? You might pick up on small signs that they want to redeem themselves. More and more interactions on social media, persistent questions from mutual friends about your life, and even actions that feel a little desperate are all attempts to fix what's broken. They think that if they can just show you how sorry they are, you'll understand and welcome them back into your life. But the harsh truth is that your forgiveness and their redemption are not the same thing. They may feel that you owe them redemption after their sincere apologies or heartfelt gestures, but your role in their redemption is, it's clear that you want to put yourself, your worth, and your healing first. If they really want to, it's their journey to go on by themselves. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not over outside events. Understand this and you will be strong." In the same way, your power lies in your choice of whether to engage or remain distant. Redemption is their need, their desire, but it's never your duty to forgive them just because they know what they've lost. Real redemption isn't about them trying to feel better. It's about real change, and only you can tell if that change is believable, authentic, and enough. It's ironic that their desire for redemption grows precisely because you no longer need their approval. Because you're not there, they feel compelled to chase you, not just physically or emotionally, but also morally. They want to prove their change and redeem themselves, not only in your eyes, but also in their own. They see you as the ultimate test of whether they've really grown or are still stuck in old patterns. But it's not your job to help them redeem themselves or confirm their newfound awareness. You've already paid a high price emotionally, and the fact that you walked away shows how strong and clear you are. Redemption, if achieved, must come from within them, separate from your approval or acknowledgement. As the old proverb wisely suggests, trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. Now they finally grasp the depth of this truth by walking away. You've set a high standard, one that demands respect, consistency, and true self-awareness. They now understand your worth clearly, and that clarity fuels their desire for redemption. They realize the cost of undervaluing you and yearn desperately to fix their mistakes. But again, the choice to welcome them back, to offer a second chance or even forgiveness, rests solely in your hands. You hold the keys to the gate. Whether you open the door slightly, inviting a cautious step toward reconciliation, or leave it firmly shut to protect your newfound peace, the power is yours alone. Redemption might be their deepest desire, but your peace of mind and emotional safety are invaluable. You don't owe anyone the chance to redeem themselves. That gift, if granted, must be earned. So as they chase redemption, you remain steady in your power, Fully aware that your worth was never dependent on their realization, you've stepped away with clarity, grace, and purpose. Now, whether they find redemption or not is entirely their responsibility, and your peace will remain untouched either way.